Hey there, food fans. Welcome back to the Food for Thoughtcast with me, your host, Melissa Reagan, and my co-host with the most, Chef Steven Gonzalez. What's going on, Steve?
Hi, how's it going, buddy?
Oh, I couldn't be better because we have Shawn Walchef from Cali BBQ Media joining us in the studio today. What's up, Shawn?
What's happening? Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for being here. Happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody.
Right? Wait, where's your green?
My daughter, she walked into my last podcast recording, so she might make an appearance, but she's all decked out. She's all decked out in green. You never know when you get a bonus co-host.
I love it. That's what happens with my dogs usually. Sometimes they'll go into the background here. I tell people my eyes are green, and if they pinch me, I punch them.
There you go.
So that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. What does a typical St. Patrick's Day look like in California, of all places?
What it looks like today versus what it looked like when I first opened up our restaurant 17 years ago. We have 3 restaurant locations now 17 years later, but back in the day we had a sports bar, so we were trying anything and everything to get people to come into our sports bar, drink green beer, do corned beef and hash. Like, we did it all. And now
like St. Patty's Day
barbecues, we used to do that, and we've really scaled back on going outside of our lane. Just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it. And I guess maybe that's why we're still kicking 17 years later.
It's very Jurassic Park of you.
Well, that's the goal. The number one goal in business is to stay in business. So
yeah, 100%. Well, every single episode, we like to start with asking each other the question, what was the most amazing thing you ate this week? So Steve, why don't you kick us off?
Well, I still have a little bit of some homemade corned beef left over. So of course you have to do like the corned beef. I already had cabbage and potatoes and stuff. So of course, corned beef and mac and cheese, things like that. And of course, some deep fried Brussels sprouts. Can't go wrong with that,
Dang, sounds incredible. Incredible.
Labor of love.
What about you, Shawn?
So my mother-in-law was visiting recently. She just left this week from Bulgaria. So she lives in Bulgaria. My wife is Bulgarian. I'm actually a quarter Bulgarian, so my kids are now more Bulgarian than I am. But we eat a lot of Balkan food. And while she was here before she left, she made this amazing lamb dinner.
Man,
braised lamb. It was potatoes, carrots, and then shopska salad, which is fresh tomatoes, heirloom tomatoes, cucumbers, Bulgarian feta cheese, and then we had some bell peppers with feta cheese is basically the Bulgarian diet, so a lot of that. But the lamb was phenomenal.
I'm not mad at that at all. Feta cheese has never made anything worse. That's for sure.
Yes,
that's for sure.
Lamb makes everything better. I eat a lot of lamb.
I was reminded quickly about how much I enjoy lamb and how I do not eat enough of it.
Isn't it one of those odd things that we'll seek out from time to time, but every time you're like, why don't I eat this more often?
It's exactly
essentially, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. I made bolognese today, but kind of a non-traditional kind. I had a bunch of veggies kicking around the freezer that I wanted to use up. So I used like a pound of ground beef, browned it, took it out of the pot, and added things like beet, carrot, celery, green, yellow, and red bell peppers, onion, just like super small. I even used a cheese grater for the beets, just throw some extra like nutrition in there and really a nice depth of color. And then I put a couple pieces of bacon, of course, cut up super small, and then some rotini with it. Super tasty. So kind of like, it's healthy, but nobody else does. And then I put about a half a pound of Parmesan cheese in it because why not?
Yeah.
So why not?
Parmesan and bacon make everything.
Everything doesn't have to be healthy, but anytime you can put a vegetable in something, I'm like, okay, let's do that. just for squeaks and giggles every once in a while, right?
Right, exactly.
How's the weather, Shawn?
We're spoiled. We're in San Diego, so we bitch when it's below 55, and if it gets above 75, we bitch. So like if it's in between 55 and 75, like we're totally cool and pleasant humans, and yeah, we know we're very spoiled. We're spoiled.
It's one of the sands that I haven't been to yet.
And like that spread, I'm being nice to San Diego in that spread. It's actually like between 70 and 75.
It's like the whole city's a dad and somebody touched a thermostat.
Yes.
Like super mad.
100%. Absolutely. That's us.
I was talking to somebody.
And it's like,
yeah,
woke up and it was like 50 something degrees and it got up to like 95 degrees. So West Texas, y'all.
West Texas. There you go.
It's gross. I was talking to somebody at a bar yesterday about the weather here in North Carolina. I just moved here in August, and they got an unprecedented amount of snow. It snowed like 4 times since I moved here. I was like, yeah, that's enough of that. I'm originally from Texas, so no, thank you. But they were like, yeah, it's the weather. If you don't like it, wait 10 minutes. And sure enough, from the time I started eating dinner to the time I left this establishment, it was pouring. It was pouring, straight line winds, tornado. I was like, okay, cool. Like, okay, I thought Texas was bad, but like, okay, great. So great. Well, hey, Shawn, a lot of the purpose of this podcast is kind of just to invite everybody to sit at the virtual culinary table, as it were. Really, really wanted to remove the barriers between people who would consider themselves regular folks and home cooks and people who are in the business. And so we want to hear your story from beginning to end, right? And from soup to nuts, as they say. So why don't you tell us how Cali Barbecue Media started? Like, what's your relationship with food? Any fond food memories from growing up? Maybe we can start there.
We want to hear it all.
So I guess the beginning of my Bulgarian story would be that I never met my father. I was raised by my Bulgarian grandfather and my Japanese grandmother. So they never married. Yeah, I'm not Japanese, but they were together my whole life. She raised me, and it definitely brought an interesting table. I grew up in a life of privilege in La Jolla, California. So for those that don't know, La Jolla means the jewel. It is a very affluent place on the coast, incredible place, beautiful. But I was kind of the weird kid that had the Bulgarian parent and Bulgarian grandparent and Japanese grandmother. So when I was eating, yakisoba and sushi and having kyufte and all these weird things, my friends, they would question, like, is everything okay? Like, is this isn't normal? This isn't the hamburgers and cheeseburgers and steaks that I'm having at my house.
That's not a chicken nugget.
Correct. But as I got older, my grandfather, we took over a property that had a restaurant, a breakfast restaurant, and on the weekends I would go, instead of playing sports or going to the beach like all my friends did, I went to go bus tables and wash dishes. And like, I hated that restaurant. Like, it was like brutal for me to like be there. And I was like, I don't understand. Why do I have to do it? I'm 13 years old, 14 years old. All my weekends are gone, doing something that I don't want to do while my friends are all having fun. And the craziest thing about that is that I now own that restaurant that I was bussing those tables in.
Oh my God, that's insane. Wow.
Like, I literally have.
Talk about full circle moment.
It's a ridiculous photo, but this is for those that are watching on video on YouTube. Yes. This is me washing dishes when I was 13 years old, and the dishwasher is not the same, but we have the same, like, literally our dish pit is in the same location.
Oh my gosh.
So if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
Yeah, it's not AI generated, it's legit. That's me. And we built a media company on top of our restaurant business, and it's obviously there's a lot of bumps and scratches and pains and failed business partnerships. I opened up the restaurant with one of my best friends from college. We were young, naive, open when we were 26 years old. We're like, let's take this full liquor license and add it to a breakfast concept and add dinner. It was in an offbeat part of town, so a community that there were no other family restaurants. We're like, we're going to really do this. It was 2008, height of the economic recession.
Oh wow.
Like, absolutely brutal, naive, brutal, call it what you want to call it. But 17 years later, the guy that I opened it up with, Corey, he got burnt out. He was like, I'm not doing restaurant business, it's too hard. He started doing real estate. I bought him out, but we're still close friends to this day, one of my closest friends. And me, my wife, my restaurant team, we have sustained the Great Recession, we've sustained the pandemic, we've opened ghost kitchens, we've closed ghost kitchens. We opened up on the San Diego Navy Exchange. We're here at the local stadium, so Snapdragon Stadium, we have a location, and we built a media company on top of our restaurant. So persistence, I guess, that Bulgarian, what I call the Bulgarian Mamba mentality of never giving up and chasing. I love what I do. You know, I love the fact that I'm sitting here podcasting with you guys and that my team is running our barbecue business. Like, they're phenomenal. They do a great job. We tell stories on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook. We have videos that have millions of views. We partner with the biggest restaurant technology companies like Toast and Restaurant 365 and Uber. And like, we have all these brand deals where we're doing video content and podcast content and YouTube content with some of the coolest technology companies.
Right.
And it was only because we didn't stop. Like, if we stopped, we wouldn't have those opportunities.
And isn't that really your, like, that greatest feeling of success is when you can walk away and know that it's being taken care of, right?
It is. I mean, it's, for me, like, when my son was born, you know, I always had this, I don't know if it was guilt or shame, but it was like, I had to be an owner operator. Like, if I wasn't like working my ass off 7 days a week, like doing everything, it was like, but I was really probably one of the biggest bottlenecks to growth for our business. You know, giving the keys away, you know, those coveted keys where you're the only person that can open the restaurant, close the restaurant, you know, but giving the keys away and taking myself off the schedule really allowed us to build the media side of our business. And it's something that I'm really proud of. And I love doing what, like, I get to go to Pizza Expo next week in Las Vegas and bar and restaurant show. And we're getting paid to go out there to make content at badass restaurants, at badass food shows.
That's the dream.
And it's really cool for us. So
getting paid to eat, that's the dream.
Yeah, a lot of pizza for sure.
I think I would be super remiss too if we didn't mention, like, there's definitely a restaurant industry to real estate pipeline. Just saying. Like, people need a little bit of money now and they need more flexible hours. That's the thing that happens. Like, I've known the servers, cook chefs, GMs, you name it, who've gone and got their real estate license. So I thought that was really interesting too.
Yeah. Oh, but yeah, for sure.
It happens. It's that same kind of urgency and like adrenaline that you get from running a restaurant. It's like a really strange coincidence there too.
We have this hospitality in our DNA that allows us to love to take care of everyone else around us. Like, we're really shitty at taking care of ourselves.
And not ourselves. Yes.
Like, really shitty at not taking care of ourselves. But it is as brutal and difficult as it is being in the food service business, it's beautiful. And
it is.
I think that's why we do what we do. And the fact that you guys are podcasting and sharing stories, I mean, that to me is the coolest thing, because as you guys know, you've done over 100 episodes, you've connected with people all over the globe.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, you didn't have to make an Apple Podcast or Spotify or YouTube. Like, you just had to choose to create stories, tell stories, break bread.
Yeah.
Just making content. Steve and I have met people we would have never imagined to have met and been in conversations where if we'd have just sat down on a rainy day, you know, 20 years ago or something, and thought, like, well, it'd be cool. It could just like text this guy and say, like, do you want to do a podcast? Right. Like, any of our guests, right. It'd be like, wow, no, I think that's crazy. That's never going to happen. You know, like,
as much just wanted to like shoot the breeze and hang out because we hadn't seen each other in so long. So yeah, I
had a little podcast I'd started as a hobby, a little labor of love, because some friends of mine had said, I think you would be good at this. And I was like, okay, well, I don't have anything to say. I don't have anything to share. Like, but yeah, that's fine. I'll start a podcast. And I think Steve was like the third guest, and that's the rest of the story, right? It's like,
really?
Hey, he kept coming back on, and I was like, do you want to just co-host? She's like, yeah. I was like, okay. Like, we went to culinary school 20 years before and hadn't seen each other. So
wow, that's amazing.
It's random, right? It's just, life is crazy like that.
Well, it's great. And the technology that we have at our fingertips that we take for granted to think that, I mean, so much of it is ego, where you think, if I start a show or if I start doing content on the internet, like no one's going to care. And like, nobody does care. That's the crazy thing. Like, no one watches and no one listens in the beginning, but you feel like everyone's watching. Like, all my friends are going to make fun of me. Like, who's watching my videos? Like, Shawn, who do you think you are? And it's like, I still get it to this day. But if I quit, I wouldn't be able to do the stuff that we're doing now.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it opens doors. And I don't know, Steve, you and I have talked about this. Like, this will probably never pay the bills, right? Like, I don't know. I disagree.
I disagree.
Well,
I totally disagree.
I don't know.
totally disagree.
I don't have the discipline to be my own boss, Sean. Sometimes I just need to be
I
told what
don't
to do.
I don't know. You can bring people in. I think you guys have proven something, that endurance, a commitment to the craft, is what you need in this game.
I was
Like that's the truth.
Steve, I was joking with Sean before you got here, just a few
yeah?
minutes before we started recording. I was like, I think we're just producing it out of spite now.
Yeah. I mean, even when I make content now, it's just like I'm hungry for whatever I feel like making. And
Yep.
I don't think people are going to watch it, but I go to work or people will hit me up. Dude, I can't believe you let this corned beef or brine for like a month. What is wrong with you? Didn't you get sick? No, I'm good. Or how did you think of making this? I was just hungry, So it's just fun,
Yeah. I think it starts with a desire. So what in the world took you from having the restaurant and then building kind of the media empire on top? Like, how did that happen?
I mean, everything comes back to watching what my grandfather did. My grandfather was a Bulgarian farm boy that was destined to be a farmer, but he eventually read every book in the village, so he had to actually walk to another village to get more books, and that led him to become a medical doctor. But he taught me at a young age curiosity, and like I remember growing up and being 10 years old and 15 and 20. And like, he never stopped reading. He never stopped asking questions. Like, he was one of the most intelligent people I'd ever met. And there was just something about his willingness to ask anyone and everyone questions. Like, he would talk to really smart people, but then he would talk to people that most society would overlook. And he would ask them interesting questions and get insights that no one else would know about. And by doing that, I realized, like, if I become a better listener and if I become better at asking questions, then maybe I can learn things and apply things. Because it's one thing to ask the question, but then you actually have to do the work.
Sure.
And I think my grandfather, he was relentless in his willingness to do things and look stupid. Like, he didn't care. He just wanted to learn the craft. He wanted to learn how to write his own book. So he attended writers' conferences. He read books about writing your life story. He read books about storytelling. And I was with him all along the way, realizing this is pretty powerful, understanding the power to tell a story, and like, to think about what we do now. We're telling stories on the internet, and like, it started on Apple Podcasts, and now it's on Spotify, and then it was YouTube and TikTok. Like, it's just audio, video, words, images. We're just telling stories over the internet, and then we're letting all of this technology distribute it. And if somebody finds it and they go, hey, I like what Melissa was saying, then all of a sudden, maybe you have a friend for life. You have no idea.
Well, isn't that what food does? Tells a story.
Yeah.
I love the fact that, you hit the nail on the head. Like, you don't care, or he didn't care if he looked foolish or not, asking questions. I'm in the same boat too, where I'll ask the same question a couple different times to a couple different people. And at first I used to care, like, of someone saying, you should know this, but now my mentality is, well, I don't, so teach me, or I do know this, but I want to see how you do it, and it builds good conversation, so you learn different ways to do the same thing, but maybe it's better,
Yeah. Even if you're learning to do the same thing more than one time, your perspective changes. So like, you grow a little bit, right? Even if the thing that you're doing or the task that you learn or the skill that you gain, right, is like the same thing, even if repetition, right? It's like you change a little bit. I had a chef mentor tell me, and I never forgot it. He's like, stop learning and you die.
Yep.
That's it.
Absolutely.
And
I think that goes the same with stories. We are so afraid as humans to repeat ourselves because we feel like people will be bored, and they will be bored if you don't change, if you don't improve your storytelling craft. One of my favorite things to do is study comedians. People like Jerry Seinfeld and Chris Rock, and I mean, Dave Chappelle, you name the comedian, they've told the story, that same joke, thousands of times before they finally get their Netflix special. Like, they've iterated it, they've changed, and by doing that, they're only getting better at telling that story. And I tell founders and restaurant owners all the time, like, you started this restaurant for a reason. Like, you convinced another human, whether it was your husband, your wife, your best friend, your business partner, whoever it was, you convinced them that this was a good idea, even though everyone said, this is effing crazy. This is crazy. You shouldn't do it. But then you convince someone to do it. And then you convince someone to invest in it. You convince the landlord to give you the lease. You convince the food vendor that you were going to make great food and that they should open up an account. Like, you made all these people convinced in real life, yet you stopped telling the story.
Well, and the thing about somebody like Chris Rock, though, is like, he has enough money to where he would never have to do anything again if he wanted to. I think that's a safe assumption, right? But I know that somebody like Chris Rock also hones his craft constantly. Like, he'll be working on a new 15 minutes or an hour, because I listen to a different podcast with Dana Carvey, and they'll talk about how they hang out in New York City, and he'll roll up to an improv and take a 15-minute slot.
Yep.
Like, for no other reason than I need to work this new material. And it's constantly hone and hone and hone and hone. Right. I think people like, may I never reach the level of success where I don't think that I, A, have like no more stories to tell, and B, don't have to get any better at what I do. Like, I hope it never happens. Right. You know?
I mean, we joke all the time that we make our media like we make our barbecue, and that's low and slow.
Oh, I love that so much.
I mean, when we started doing barbecue on the West Coast, people are like, who the fuck do you think you are?
Like, I was going to ask
Coast,
too, like,
California,
what is,
like, you got some balls to call yourself Cali barbecue.
Yeah. We were just going to say, who the hell do you think you are?
Exactly. But that's my, like, who do we think? Well, we're going to try. And we started, it was shitty. Our brisket was so bad, we didn't even it was the last thing we added to the menu.
Ooh.
But I can tell you that 17 years later, the brisket we make today is much better than the brisket we made 10 years ago, better than what we made 5 years ago, and better than we made yesterday. And
so,
like, it's the same with podcasting.
Barbecue?
What's that?
What makes it Cali barbecue? What makes California barbecue?
I think it comes down to story. Like, the fact that our story is that I found a pit master, somebody that was way smarter than me, that spent his life in professional Kansas City Barbecue Society contests.
Oh, Kansas.
He helped us put on a charity event, and that charity event was an amateur barbecue contest. We shut down the restaurant and the entire street in front of our restaurant. We had some amateur barbecue teams, and after that, he was like, "Hey, if you want to learn how to do barbecue, I'll teach you. I'll teach your team. I'll share you the recipes, and I'll let you use my Old Hickory smoker." And that was the beginning of what is now, Cali barbecue.
Nice.
That's cool.
I was going to say, don't cop out and say tri-tip. That's not all that makes California barbecue.
No, tri-tip's part of the story. Tri-tip's definitely, makes it more unique. But yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, California barbecue is the fact that most people in California are transplants. Even me, I was born in Denver. I moved here when I was 6 months old. So, technically I'm a transplant, and there's people from all over the nation, all over the world that live in California. So it does give us a little bit of a unique perspective. But back to making shitty barbecue, like, most people are too scared to start, Most people are too scared. Like, even now we post videos that have millions of views on TikTok and Facebook and Instagram. And do you know why they have millions of views? Because people are talking shit. They're telling us that, you're California doesn't know how to cook. Yeah, California doesn't know how to. I'm going to micro dissect this 25-second clip of, my pitmaster Bernice loading, let's call it 45 racks of ribs onto the smoker. And some part of that process, they're going to say, that doesn't work, or that's not how we do it, or that's not real barbecue, or that's a gas assist barbecue. Like, Old Hickory is gas assist. Yes, it is. Yeah. But like, welcome to California. We don't have the labor to sit here overnight. It's
like a little bit more dangerous in California. You can't just have fires everywhere. Like,
that's
how you get fires everywhere, right? Like,
problem,
that's a thing, right?
For sure.
People talk crap about like using gas like grills and stuff. Like, yeah, it's called technology. I don't have to rub two sticks together anymore. Thanks. Like, thank you.
The beautiful thing about them talking shit on the internet is that it only helps us get more views to the people that actually care.
All the press. Is good press, right?
It's PT Barnum. Yeah, the only bad press is no press.
So what you're saying is, for me to get more views, I got to start,
you got to make controversial content.
That's where I went wrong,
That's where
Steven, you got to start putting the raisins in the potato salad, man. Like, let me let this dog in real quick before he becomes a disruption.
Right? It's all good.
Yeah. So I was looking at like your menu, and I see like the tri-tip and the brisket and all that fun stuff. And all I get from this is I really need to go out to San Diego. That's all I'm really getting out of it.
Same.
Yeah.
100%.
Tell me about soul rolls, man.
Soul rolls are actually, it's a shout out to Dave. Dave's our new GM that we hired.
Nice.
So crazy story. Dave was a restaurant owner. Him and his wife owned restaurants in New Mexico. They sold their restaurants. They moved out to California. Just wanted to kind of lay back. And then Dave was actually, when he was running his restaurants, was listening to our podcast. Like
awesome.
When people ask like, what's the ROI of podcasting? Like I built a deep enough relationship with someone who I am so excited as a part of our team. And that's, Dave, who listened to it. And he's like, this is the next part of my career. I want to help you guys grow Cali barbecue. And now my GM, Eric, who has been with me since we opened up and hired him in the parking lot in 2008. Now he can be a chief financial officer, run the barbecue side and the media side of the business. But Dave's responsible for the soul rolls.
Man. So, okay. So now we have to bring it back to the podcast. Tell us about it.
The podcast started in 2017. That was the first show that we did. It was called Behind the Smoke. I did it above the butcher shop. So me and Derek Marceau, he's one of my best friends. He opened up, him and his family opened up, he's a third generation butcher. So local butcher shop close to our restaurant. And we built a studio above his butcher shop. And we did in-person podcast interviews with local business owners, entrepreneurs, people that were in marketing, people that were in, hospitality business. And that was the first 100 episodes we did Behind the Smoke. And then now we have 7 shows, I believe, that we do on a weekly basis, either for ourselves or for clients.
Wow.
I thought 1 was hard.
The more that you do, the easier it gets.
I bet.
Wow.
Like I just like trying to find a time to sleep.
You can do it. You can do more. You can do more than you give yourself credit for.
Sometimes. Wow, that's incredible. So the media company came out of this. It sounds like kind of this like passion for the storytelling on both sides of the business, right? I love the idea of digital hospitality too, because I think I don't really know exactly when the shift happened. And maybe you guys can give your opinions, but when I was coming up in the business, it used to be called the service industry. The hospitality industry, like hospitality is not new. Like nobody invented that. That's a biblical concept. Probably goes back further than that. Right. But I'm like, all of a sudden there's this mindset shift, and out in the consciousness is like very much hospitality driven in all the parts of the business, luxury, fast food, casual, mid-casual, right? And so I think it's really interesting to apply that to something digital, because when you say something like the word digital to me or media, it makes me think of something that's impersonal, kind of sterile, So I think it could bring a warmth there. You know what I mean?
I think, for me, I go back to like the essence, because digital hospitality is the name of the show that we do, one of our shows. And it's our deep thesis that every business needs to be digital first. In this day and age, like we have to have digital presence. But then every business is also in the hospitality business, whether they know it or not. And, to your point about service, I've always said that customer service is bullshit. Like I think customer service is like it's the lowest form of like, isn't that just what like being a human is?
Just like customer service is just like makes me think of a complaint department. Like it's like doesn't do anything for anybody.
It's the lowest.
That's me right there.
But hospitality is like, how do you make a stranger become a friend? Like, what are you going to do to listen to somebody, to anticipate somebody's needs, to make them care so much that they have, after they leave that experience, they have to go tell somebody else, hey, that was awesome. Like
and then they have to come back. Right.
Correct. Like I had such a great conversation with Melissa and Steven. Like I can't wait for them to come to St. Like that's what hospitality is versus service, as it's a transaction. Like we met, we did the thing, and then it's done.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, no, if you do something magical, then maybe there's something there, and maybe that something can turn into a friendship.
Yeah, absolutely.
I used to feel like either you're born with it or you're not. But I want to say recently I'm starting to kind of change my tune on that, because for me, talking to people, it's fun, it's interesting, and I have people tell me like, you're really good at listening, you're really good at understanding like my point of view, and I can remember there was a point where I thought I was really bad at it, and hearing people tell me that, and so it helps me, like it kind of invigorates me, like teach the younger generations, like, hey, if you take a step back just to listen to what people are having to say, you know, you can build that rapport, you can build that relationship, that friendship, like you're talking about, Shawn. And it really doesn't take a lot of effort, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a powerful thing. Although I still get ahead of myself. I still like talk to, you know, above people sometimes. I'm like, why didn't I just take a step back and go back to the basics and listen, you know?
Did you get pushback in the early days, Shawn? People go like, "This is silly. It's dumb."
Oh, I mean, like every like when I go and I speak at trade shows and conferences, it's like I picked the restaurant business as if there wasn't a harder business to pick. I opened in 2008, and they tell you location, went against the grain and picked the most difficult location. Like as if the restaurant business wasn't hard enough, we got into the media business, and like everything we do seems to be the hardest path, but it's a beautiful path. And like the more that we do it and the longer that we do it, you know, I'm a huge fan of, obviously, you know, Danny Meyer, but one of the things that he talks about is ABCD. Always be collecting the dots so you can always be connecting the dots. So like if you collect enough dots, you start to realize, wait, that goes there, and wait, we're doing media for our barbecue restaurant, and we're in a place where all companies, including the US Foods of the world and the Pepsis of the world and the Toasts of the world, they all need content too. So if we get good at content, we can partner with them and help them do content, which we're already doing. So it's like all of those things, the only way that they connect is if you keep doing them and you don't quit.
Yeah. It's not just about figuring out what people need. It's about like teaching people that they need you. Right.
Yeah. Correct.
I like the idea of collecting dots, right? It's like seeing everything as an opportunity, whether you need it in that moment or not, but it's like, bloop, like it's in my back pocket, you know?
Collecting them. Correct.
So,
for sure.
I love that. I love that so much. Do you cook at all in your spare time?
I do not cook. I cook at home. I'll cook on our Traeger. So like we have a good partnership with Traeger. They sent me, you know, an incredible smoker that we use to make a lot of the Bulgarian dishes that I'll cook for the family. But yeah, my wife does a lot of the cooking in the house. She's amazing. Yeah.
Do you incorporate a lot of that Bulgarian and a lot of that influence growing up, like into the restaurant, or
not yet? No, there's a Bulgarian concept somewhere in the back of my mind, but like every time like that I'm like, it's the restaurant business. Stop doing that. It's
I was going to say, so how would you care to share some of this Bulgarian barbecue now?
Sure. I mean, the easy, like, so küfte and kebapçı are the two main, like, it's pork based. So pork based, diced onions, and Bulgarian spices. I mean, it's as simple as you get, but the quality of the meat is obviously a high priority, and the spices, the blend of spices. But Balkan food is phenomenal.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not like wildly familiar with Bulgarian spices. Like, what are some of those in that mix? I had my work cut out for me. I have more things to taste, man.
Yeah, no, I wish I could give you a better description of Bulgarian spices. I mean, the fortunate thing for me is that I travel every summer. So my wife and I and my kids, we go to Bulgaria to the village.
Nice.
So I get to try a lot of the grandma's cooking and grandpa's cooking. And I think the magical thing about food, you know, to the point of why you guys do this show is like, it brings us back. Like for me, being able to marry a Bulgarian woman and having a Bulgarian grandfather, and like now my kids are more Bulgarian than I am. My kids are my son is fluent. He's 7.
Wow.
Like he's fluent in Bulgarian. My daughter is getting there. And just to be able to see the culture, for them to experience what it's like to be on the village, to, you know, pick the cucumbers and the tomatoes and, you know, get the eggs from the chickens. Like, it's a big deal, because when they come here, you know, a lot of the kids in our neighborhood, they're not exposed to village life. So it gives them a lot of depth of perspective.
Yeah. What an incredible way to like connect to your heritage too. And just to know that they're going to have like that kind of dual cultures, like mindset. It's really important, I think. It's kind of for anybody's worldview, right? It's just to kind of have like your mind blown sometimes, right? Like keep it all in perspective. I can't wait to collect all the dots necessary for the Bulgarian concept. I'm in. Whatever it is, I'm going to come try it.
I appreciate that. Yeah, that most likely will happen. I'm pretty sure that'll happen.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I was
Super
gonna say,
excited.
I used to work with someone who was from Bulgaria, and so my experience in Bulgarian cuisine is very limited also, but like she would, make recommendations. She would say, you got to try this, you got to try this dish. And, it was just out of this world. It was simple, but those flavors just really, they were intense and they hit you in the mouth in a good way, So,
Mhm.
it's like, just like lamb. Why don't I do this more often,
Yes, more lamb. We need more lamb.
Right.
Always more lamb. Shawn, what's on the horizon? What are the new big projects that you can speak to? Are you allowed to speak to?
We're going to keep doing deep work. I mean, I think one of the biggest goals that we have as a media company is to tell better stories. We always want to have the opportunity to travel. I think, when I look at the landscape of not just restaurant technology, but restaurants globally, we all experience the same things. Like there's servers, there's cooks, there's people that love their village, they love their community, they want to make a living, they want to, grow their business, they want to maybe open up another location, maybe another bar. They're using technology. I mean, as much as we don't want to talk about it, technology actually is helping us run a better business. Restaurant business is hard. I mean, I have so many friends, people that I've had on the show that have had great concepts that, they didn't own the property and they lost their lease, or the lease didn't get renegotiated. And, they're dying to open up again because it's just who they are in their DNA and who they are in their blood. So I want to keep going and finding the stories of the people that are doing it right. Not only that are doing it right, but that have the courage to tell us the things that they did wrong.
Yeah,
like I learned so much when a restaurant owner tells me I did these things and I failed. Like, one of the things I heard Danny Meyer actually talking on a podcast recently that he regrets about setting the table. And I know that everyone talks about setting the table as, the Bible for our industry.
The gold standard. Yeah.
Gold standard. But he regrets talking in that book of saying he takes so much pride in having never closed a restaurant. Because he's talked to so many restaurant owners that like they were scared to tell him that they had closed their restaurant. But like that's just a part of life. Like opening, closing, winning, fail. I mean, I tell my son when he was a little boy, like one of the first things I taught him was like, Colleen, why do we fall? So we can learn how to get back up. That's Batman. Like, why do we fall? Like that we fall down so we can learn how to get back up. And the more that we get back up, the more we realize like actually the falling, we learn more from the falling than we did from winning.
Yeah.
And the way a lot of these entrepreneurs think is not that they're failing, but they're failing forward. So that way, when they do come back, they come back 10 times better, which I think is a very powerful mentality to keep. Because I've had a few friends, same thing. They've had restaurants and they closed down. And of course, it's when are you going to open back up? We're ready for you. And when they open back up, I mean, man, it's just powerful, the quality of food, the establishments, everything about it is just 10 times better. And it's just, I love that they have that. I learned from my mistakes and I didn't give up. And so like I said, I always call it just failing forward, But
yeah, it's one of my favorite interview questions to ask of, management and hourly is what is your biggest career regret? And you can learn a lot about a person by what they say or don't say, how uncomfortable they get with a question, if they're willing to answer it, if they're just BSing you, right? Or if somebody's like super candid and uses it as a vulnerability moment, I think it speaks volumes about a person and who they are.
So
right?
true. Yeah, so true.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I love it. Hey, one thing about technology, Shawn, is like it doesn't get tired. You know what I mean? Like our business is huge on burnout, right? Like it's a huge issue that we're always trying to stay ahead of or recover from. And I don't, when AI started being a thing or more like technology assisted systems started being a thing, I was kind of like wary of it because a lot of times I find with food that a lot of times the simplest thing is the best thing. But I think in this case, it's almost like I'm ready for the robot overlords because I think that, I think a lot of things in our industry can be improved greatly by technology if we're willing to use it.
I agree. And, I think for me, from a human perspective, like we do B2B content, business to business. So like, restaurant owner to technology company. We do B2C content from, restaurant owner to hopefully someone coming to buy our barbecue. But like ultimately, what is it? It's all human to human.
Yeah.
And, I think part of the reason why I love podcasting so much is that I realized that I wasn't alone. All the crazy thoughts that I had in my head, all the dreams, all the hopes, all the failures that we had as a business owner. And like, I can go and ask other people questions. And if they open up to me and I open up to them, I'm going to benefit selfishly. But we have the technology where someone on the other side of the world, or someone that finds the message or finds the podcast or finds the video, maybe that's the exact thing that they needed at that point that helps them with whatever they're struggling with.
Do you ever find it difficult to or do you ever run out of ideas, or are you just constantly thinking of new ideas? Like, do you ever get burnt out on any of that, or?
No, I told you we're doing 7 shows right now. I mean,
that's why I was asking. I was like, how do you continue to come up with?
I need to stop. We just launched a Substack newsletter for restaurant technology. But to be honest with you, the more that we've done, the more I realize right now we're recording this in 2025 and, we're producing shows internally for entrepreneur.com. We have digital hospitality. I do 2 live shows a week. We have a restaurant technology show. I'm traveling once a month to go to trade shows and to film content at other places. I know that in 3 years, I'll look back and be like, that's it. That's all you were doing. Look what we're doing now.
You're always going to be so hungry for more.
I mean, that was one of the biggest lessons that I learned as a podcaster. Was for 5 years, we did our single show. We didn't have any sponsors. We didn't do any brand deals. But once I had the courage to go, what if we can do 2? What if I pitch Entrepreneur Magazine and we can do another show and I can get a sponsor? That was the first time. 5 years of my money, my investment, my time. But once we launched our second show, all of a sudden we started making money. And not only that, but then we could sell into our first show. And then we realized we could get clients, and then we could get other opportunities. So it's if I could go backwards, what would I say is you can do more than you know that you can. We think that we're doing as much as we can do,
right?
But we're really limiting who we are and what our capabilities are. Because you can ask for help. Has there ever been an easier time to ask for help? There's so many people out there that you can send them an email, send them a DM.
We're so well connected, right?
Do you know somebody that can help me that I'm trying to solve this specific problem?
Shawn, what's the Substack called?
Restaurant Technology.
Okay, I'm on it. I love Substack.
I like it. All you really had to do is just reach out. The worst that they could tell you is no.
Yep.
And with that persistence, I think that's where a lot of people kind of give up. They, I feel like they hit a wall and that obstacle is just overwhelming to them, and, maybe that passion just kind of dies down. Again, Melissa and I, we just love hanging out, and we're always, how do we continue to just have fun, shoot the breeze, and more importantly, get more people involved with our beliefs of you don't have to be a chef to be to make good food,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And to me, I think that's powerful.
Well, what's really insane is you're talking about reaching out. We had reached a point where I was grinding for guests really hard, and it paid off sometimes, right? It paid off in really incredible ways. But there was a point where I was we talk about ROI, I was I'm putting a lot of work into this and nobody's coming on. So I'm just going to do the me and Steve episodes and it'll be fine. All of a sudden, when I stopped looking, a couple of weeks went by, we have 10 people waiting to record.
That's awesome.
We have 10 people waiting to record. And, and I don't know if their assistant Googled food podcasts and ours came up first for some reason, or if they really did listen, it's I don't even have to know that, right? I don't need to know that, right? But what I do know is that they're waiting to get on a recording calendar, which is incredible. And I'm I didn't have to do anything for that. I mean, we did all the work prior.
You did a lot of work.
But I didn't have to white knuckle that out, right? I know there's nothing more gratifying. It's the same way that when you're running a restaurant, you go through a slow Saturday and then you've got a slow Sunday and then there's a summer or whatever your down season is out there. I know in Texas when it's hot, there's no people won't sit on a patio when it's 100+ degrees, right? So
Yeah.
in the summer we go like, in May you've got graduations, Memorial Day, Mother's Day weekend, prom, right? And summer's kind of like flat. Was whatever you do to grind through those slow times, and then it makes the busy seasons are even more rewarding when you're like, oh my God, the reservations are full again, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
There's just nothing more gratifying than looking back and going, we did okay. We did these things. Like there was a reason, right?
There's something I heard. I'm in recovery, and I heard it recently that
Congratulations.
Thank you. I've been sharing it a lot, but it's stop praying for as fast as possible and start praying for as long as it takes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I want everything fast, and nothing good comes fast.
Human beings are built on instant gratification.
Nothing good comes fast.
Nope.
All of the good rewarding things in my life have taken time, and they've taken effort.
Well, I mean, look, you chose the hard way. You said it yourself in every part of business. You're also going to have to choose the hard way in your recovery, and I don't think there's any way around it.
That's
Sorry, not to get too personal, but I think it sounds like it's the way it is, right?
That is the way that it is. 100%. Absolutely.
Yeah, and then that'll be even more rewarding than your business stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So because then you can think about how much more you can pour from a not empty cup, right?
Yep.
It will be incredible. Well, congratulations. Like there's nothing about that is easy. Like good for you for having the courage and for the determination to decide that you were going to change something. Right.
Well,
and you know,
especially for our business and being a bar owner. People need to know that it is possible to still own 100%. A bar and be in recovery, to work in this business. You don't have to, burn the candle on both ends and not take care of yourself. You can't ask for help. My favorite
bartenders all my life been the sober ones.
For sure.
Yeah.
Look, they're still just as good at their craft. They're not going to overserve anybody. They know what to look for, and they're there because they want to be there, not because they're also like fueled by addiction, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, they're there because they want to serve people. And so I think there's something like keenly special about kind of that corner of our business where our people are sober for whatever reason or another, but I did have somebody ask me one time about I had a home bar in Dallas that I went to for several years before I moved out here for my job. And they would go like, oh, that bartender doesn't drink, but he makes amazing drinks. Like, yeah, you actually don't have to drink to be able to make amazing drinks, right? And you don't have to be burning the candle at both ends to provide incredible service either. In fact, it's quite the opposite, right? You have to take care of yourself so that you can take care of other people.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, it's wild.
I want to say there was an episode that we did where we interviewed a bartender out of St. Louis who's a good friend of mine.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that Melissa and I are just real passionate about food, we're always trying to learn new stuff. That's how he is with cocktails and mixology and things like that. And one of the things that he touched base on was, the non-alcoholic cocktails. And it's not just all sugary drinks. And so he brought a new perspective, because for me, I'll admit, like there was a point where I was like, that doesn't sound good. But after listening to him speak, I started doing a little bit of research myself, and, just hearing a different perspective on something like that you think is just so like base, like, if you're a bartender, it's all alcohol. And hearing someone say something otherwise, I mean, it changed the way I look at things. I remember Philip, and like just the way he told that story too, it was amazing.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, I think it's just as important. It's like the stories that we tell ourselves, right? It's the tape that we have like running through our head. And so when you're talking about these like fond memories that you have of seeing your grandpa help people, and that's like giving you the reason for doing what you want to do, a lot of people haven't found that for themselves, right? Like they don't have a purpose, or they don't understand what drives them, or a lot of people go to a job just to pay a bill.
Yep.
Which there's nothing wrong with that. Bills have to be paid, food has to be put on the table, right? But it's so much more rewarding when you can do something that is really, giving back to the community, or serving people around you, or for you, it sounds like it's fulfilling that purpose, because that's who you wanted to emulate and be like, and you wanted to make people feel the way that your grandpa felt, right?
100%.
And so it's nothing. It
is a blessing to be inspired, living in spirit and knowing that I get pulled out of bed. I don't need to be motivated. Motivation's bullshit. Like for me, it's temporary. For me, what I have a burning desire to be what I can be. And because of that, I get the opportunity to literally create whatever we want to create. If I want to create another show right here, right now, I can create another show. Is it going to be hard? Yeah, it's going to be hard because my team's going to be like, Shawn, we've got enough. We've got a production schedule. We've got client work. We've got the show work. But like, I know that we can do it. And it's my job as the leader to push our team to do things that maybe we didn't think. But then when, like I said, when you look back and you're like, holy shit, in 2025, that's all we were doing.
Well, vision can't be all retrospect, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, nothing would happen.
Correct.
Right? You know, like Steve Jobs didn't have somebody to look at behind him and go like, look what those guys did. No, he like, pioneered, right? And he had to convince people around him to believe in it too. And like once everybody, you know, bought in, then it was go time, right?
Yep.
So these 7 shows that you do, this is going to sound like a silly question, but I think it'll make sense. The 7 shows that you do are all produced by you and your team, or is it like a podcasting network where you like let other people?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, produced by us and our team. So we're like, I'm not hosting 7 shows, but we have clients that host shows that we produce, and then we have our own shows that we produce. Yeah.
Nice. Wow. Nice. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
So what time is it out there right now?
4:41.
Yeah. If Google Calendars never told me, I would have a terrible time and like not be able to figure it out ever. Thank God for technology, right? I can't even imagine like which sundial do I use, right? Like I don't know what time it is. What's for dinner? What's for dinner, Shawn?
Good question. I don't even know. I've got to go. I got to go.
You gotta go find out what's happening.
My son's soccer practice, and then we figure out dinner as a family.
Oh, nice.
Our Walchef wolf pack. We'll figure it out.
Sometimes some people will ask, right? Like in interviews, like, what's your why? What gets you out of bed in the morning? I'm like, sometimes it's just thinking about what's for dinner. I'm not going to lie. It's like just food driven. I can't help it. You know, like I can't help it. Every hour of the day is like, when are we going to eat next? Steve and I will joke that when we travel, even as chefs, it's not where are we going to go? It's what are we going to eat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like not even what we're gonna, there's an exhibit over there or there's a statue. Like, great. Like when's the next meal? Like,
the problem though is you have to walk between restaurants just so that we can get hungry again. You know, for us, we spend a lot of money not on going to exhibits, it's going to different restaurants.
Yeah. 100%.
And the hardest part I've noticed is you have to actually pace yourself. Okay, at this restaurant, we're getting one thing and that's it. And then you order like 3 or 4 things and you're like, shit, I'm full already. You know?
Shawn, who's your whale? Who's your get that you haven't gotten yet from one of the podcasts? Yeah? Nice. All right.
Yeah, amazing. We had I had last year I had Shaquille O'Neal on. He has big chicken.
I saw it.
Yeah, that was definitely a huge highlight for me as a Laker fan, sports fan. But the biggest thing was that he got to spend time with my son and my daughter and my wife.
Aww.
Like I was interviewing his agent, Perry Rogers, who is an incredible restaurateur and sports agent in his own right. But as I was interviewing him, Shaquille was in the back of the room playing with my kids, which was it was like, amazing.
Oh my gosh. I mean, that's a memory that you'll never forget, right? That's a life-changing moment.
Yeah.
Well, everybody's hearing it here first. So we're going to talk to Shawn in a year and we will be discussing about how cool it was when you talked to Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds, Martha Stewart, and Mark Wahlberg.
The GOAT. Martha Stewart.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's right.
Yeah. I was watching Martha Stewart. I was watching Martha Stewart.
We got to compare lists. You guys don't get off the hook.
I was watching Martha Stewart on the Lifetime Women's Channel before like, Food Network and all that stuff was even a thing. Honestly, go ahead, Steve.
I was just going to ask, do you ever feel like you have to change your approach, like with different personalities? Like I would imagine talking to Martha Stewart versus talking to Shaquille O'Neal. There's different way.
No, Shawn said at the top, he's authentic. He's who you get.
Yes, I get that, but every now and then, like I am who I am, but then there's some people where I feel like I have to show a little bit more, not respect to you, but respect. You know what I'm saying? Like I have to watch just a couple P's and Q's.
I mean, for me, I think I don't know. Maybe it was my it actually might have been my Japanese grandmother, but like she didn't give a shit. Like she was who she was, and because of that, she was a magnet. Like people, she just attracted so many people because you just didn't know what she was going to say. But for me, understanding that if I am who I am, and it's gotten me to here. Why would I stop doing that? You know,
the people who are not attracted to and like inspired and invigorated by authenticity, the people who are turned off by it are insecure.
Correct.
They're threatened because they don't have courage. And so, yeah, I would rather be exactly who I am and be like, if you don't like it, too bad. Yeah. And I kind of feel like that's what Martha Stewart does. And I dig that a lot. Yeah. I think my get is probably Bobby Flay.
Bobby Flay. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
What would you ask him?
I would probably ask him about his influences and just, I don't know. There's a lot of things, right? Like he started on this little baby show called The Main Ingredient. I would just want to know, like, how did it all go from there? What was his vision for being a part of the Food Network? And did he think it would end up the way it did? And all sort of things. I probably have these questions written in a journal somewhere from my 16-year-old self.
Have you reached out to his PR firm?
I haven't yet. Nope. I haven't.
It's go time.
It's go time. You're right. You're right.
We're going to be motivated to do that now.
You're right. You're right.
It's pitch time. Let's go, Bobby Flay.
Let's go. Let's go.
Steve. And how about you, Steve?
My goat would have to be, I'd say Philip Foss out of L Ideas in Chicago. Okay. I just randomly came across his restaurant one day online, Googling recipes and things like that. And ever since then, I've just been blown away by the stuff he puts out, you know, and that's the bucket list. But I guess you're right. I'm going to have to reach out and see what we can do to get him on here. That would be.
Now we know what we have to do.
Homework assignments. That's what I'm all about. Let's
all
go.
Right. I like it.
We will report back to you tomorrow morning.
Fantastic.
Not tomorrow. We'll be here in a week or so, you know?
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
No better time than the present.
I'll just screenshot me like pathetically reaching on X and being like, come on our small podcast.
Yes.
Hey,
Instagram, Facebook, email.
Yeah, you never know though. I mean, I in the infancy of this podcast reached out to people who I thought would. I'm like, they don't know me. They don't know this podcast. So they'd be like, yeah, I'd love to do it. What? Okay, great.
Yeah. And that's just direct outreach. That's not even tapping into your network, asking if you know somebody that knows Bobby Flay.
Exactly. That's exactly. Great. And I'm sure that I do. Probably somewhere.
You got to get more vocal about it.
Like chefs are more close knit than we ever think, right? But it's a huge network, but it's like a small town at the same time.
Yep.
So then for building that story, how would you reach out? Would you just be like, hey, come on my podcast, or would you?
No, I would. You'd have to do your due diligence of like why, like what's your why, like what do you guys care about enough that why do you want him on the show? What value is he going to bring to the audience?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like it. It's just one more bridge to demolish, but it's the connection between famous chefs and regular folk.
Yep.
Right. So exactly. That's it. Well, hey, Shawn, it's been incredible having you on today. Awesome. Tell us where we can find you on all the socials.
Easy. I am at Shawn P. Walchef, ShawnPWalchef. Instagram is probably the quickest. I'm uploading, vlogging, Instagram stories all day, every day. But I'm on all the platforms. You can find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok. My show is Restaurant Influencers. You can find that on any podcast platform. And the other show is Digital Hospitality. We also do a live show called Rising Tides Live. So if you want to be on a podcast, you can join Rising Tides Live, and we have multiple people podcasting. It's like we do a stage.
Like Podception. I like it.
It's like the Brady Bunch. Like we get like all these people.
Oh my God, yes. I just want to be the mid. I want to be the middle square.
Yeah, correct.
So that's incredible.
I'm nervous enough to talk over like when there's like me and Melissa, and then we have a guest. I'd be quiet the entire time if there's like 9 people on there. You know?
I have 12. I run it with like 12 to 15 people. It's pretty,
I love it.
Not bad. Yeah.
I love it. That sounds like a great time. I think we'll look into that. That sounds pretty incredible.
You guys should join for sure.
Thank you so much. Well, I have only ever been to San Francisco, but I have not been to San Diego. So I'm going to have to get my butt in gear to get out there. I will be wanting some soul rolls and some 10 years improved brisket. Right. Yeah. So we'll have to look you up if we're ever in the area. Shawn, it's been an absolute pleasure. Everybody out there listening and watching, if you've been with us since day one or you're finding us anew today, thank you so much for listening and thank you for your support. If you go to foodforthoughtcast.com, you will see Shawn's personal guest page there that links to this episode, and you can find all the information, including a lovely picture in his bio. Shawn and Steve, have a wonderful day. We out.
Thank you.
Bye.